Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it might be in your part of the world. Welcome back to the live stream. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is another live C Sharp with CSharpFritz episode. How you doing there, chat room? It's been a few days. So good to be back. So good to see you. Let me say hello. The chat room is, of course, right over there. Let me welcome in, folks. How you doing there? Stephen D, good to see you. Chris Jones is over there on Twitch. Billy Cool on Twitch as well. Hello. Utara Sama, how's it going there? We don't language shame here. That's against the rules. Please, we don't do that here. Let's see here. Yes. Thank you so much, Stephen. AOG Dev, hello, hello. How you doing there, Marshall? Charles is here from Brazil. Good to see you. You saw a .NET moderator on another stream on the channel, so you know there's someone out there. No, there isn't. Not in the mornings like this. How you doing there, nobody? Good to see you. So we're back. It's time for another stream. There's so much going on. There's a lot happening out there. I'm going to ignore the timer here for just a little bit. I want to get into and talk about, there's a couple of big events coming up that are going to take me off. I will not be here next week or the week after. I want to make sure you know about. Let me go to this over here. Next week, .NET Conf, focus on MAUI. Folks have been asking, hey, when are you going to talk about .NET MAUI? Next week, we've got folks speaking on August 9th. So it's Tuesday next week. We've got a full day, not a full day, but we've got 8 hours of sessions, about, 15 sessions, a 1 hour keynote. And the rest of the day, we've got 14 sessions for you, talking all about some of the great stuff you can do with .NET MAUI. Those of you that don't know what .NET MAUI is, that's our framework that allows you to build applications, native applications that run on iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac. Check it out. We've, like I said, full day of content. I want you to tune in. I'll be there producing. Maybe I'm not going to be hosting. Our friend James Montemagno is going to be hosting, but I'll be producing and helping with this event next Tuesday. So I will not be here. We'll be doing dress rehearsals and all that stuff on Monday. The following Monday, I've got some kid things to take care of. But we'll be back then on the 22nd to do some more content here. Now, that's on August 9th. After that, we're gonna get into .NET MAUI as a series on this channel. The end of August, beginning of September, you're going to see a whole series of .NET MAUI sessions live here where we're answering questions, going through things. We're going to be doing a lot with that. I'm going to come back and hit some of the questions in just a second. But I also want to make sure you know about, we announced the call for content is live. We are less than 100 days away. .NET Conf 2022 is November 8th through the 10th. 80 sessions of content for you. The .NET 7 launch, you can see it's peaking up right there. And that's going to be, this is our flagship event. This is our top event where we've got content by developers for developers. And quite frankly, most of it's delivered by folks like you. Folks in the community, folks out there that are influencers, Microsoft MVPs, folks that have built something cool that they want to share and teach you about that you can do with .NET 6, with .NET 7. So head on over to .NETconf.net, click the save the date there for either of these events. There is fantastic information. All of it's going to be recorded. We're going to have some pre-record sessions that launch day of as well, but we're going to have live content, 80 sessions for .NET Conf 2022 in November. 15 sessions for our Focus on MAUI event, these focus events that are one day and a little bit smaller and really targeted at one event, one technology, and that's next week. So I want you to check out all that stuff coming up over the next few months. We're working hard to get content prepared for you, to get all the logistics in place, to get some swag happening, to get some fun that we'll have as usual throughout these events. I hope you tune in. because this is what I'm working on when I'm not here broadcasting and talking to you. All right. Let's head back over to the display, to the chat. Let me say hello to a bunch of folks that are coming in here now. Let's see here. Let me see here. Mohammed is here from New York City on YouTube. Good to see you. What will you do for your Fritz fix? Well, I'll be here on Thursday next week. Tuesday I'll be off as well because I'll actually be running the event. Yes, find me at the conference. There you go. Always looking forward to .NET Conference. Yeah, the great session. Their sessions are pretty good. We plan those out pretty well for you. And I'm feeling like I should. The tilt on my camera is off here. Do you ever get that feeling? You look at your camera after you've already been doing something, and you're like, "That's not right. That's not right." Let me just fix the tilt there real quick. I'm noticing that we should be. That's better. That's better. Look like I'm sitting at the kids' table there for a little bit. Fantastic. All right, moving on. Khan on YouTube asks, MVC or Razor pages architecture-wise? We're continuing with MVC. We showed some Razor pages. We're focusing on MVC for this segment, for this section of the series. If I'm allowed to have external people assist with moderation, happy to try to assist. Thank you, Chris Jones. Appreciate that. But I think we'll be okay here today. Continuing. Stuck in South Africa. Oh, no. Any need for MVC since we have Blazor server, asks Mohammed. Certainly. MVC is how we get our... is how we do our APIs, is how we interact with those things so that we can deliver and show great content to folks that want to build native applications or progressive web applications and interact directly with our systems. Let me get some music playing here in the background. This is Stream Beats by Harris Heller. There we go. This is music that is royalty-free, DMCA-free. You can listen to it wherever you'd like. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter. This is the Synthwave playlist. It's kind of groovy tech music that I like to have in the background while we're discussing and having some fun here talking today. Big thanks to Harris Heller and his team of creators at streambeats.com for making this available for us to listen to today. So, yeah, you want to do MVC anyway when you have APIs you need to expose. So you're still going to be using a bit of that. And there are folks that enjoy using MVC for the way that it separates your concerns and forces you into a good architecture model. Stephen D asks, is this the public release of .NET MAUI for Windows and Mac? That happened in June. So we are at a public release. We are at a fully supported release of .NET MAUI as of June. So you should be good there. Scrolling through. You might actually come now that I deal with .NET. Well, that's great, GSU Gambit. Yeah, please tune in. Will the conference ever get to be in person again? Asks CW Bransdahl. .NET Conf has never been in person. For almost 12 years now, .NET Conf has always been virtual and online. It started as MVC Conf, became ASP.NET Conf, and now it's .NET Conf, and it's always been virtual online. You might be thinking of Microsoft Build. Microsoft Ignite is going to be in person. There's going to be a lot of online content, but in person with a smaller audience in Seattle coming up this October. Microsoft Build, I don't know what their plans are, but .NET Conf, we like to keep as virtual as possible. That way it's accessible to everybody. Always accessible to folks no matter where you are. You don't have to spend a lot of money to travel to see us. And we engage. We don't give presentations so much at .NET Conf as we give discussions. We host and chat with you folks. So, yeah, Con already asked that question. Please don't double ask questions because you're wasting your breath. I will answer every question that's here. Are Jamaicans allowed in? Of course, Paul. Of course. Hello, nobody's is watching us on Twitch from Ukraine. Welcome in. So good to see you. How you doing there, Mukesh? Eager to watch this part. We got 35 minutes left on our AMA. Let me see. Yep, always open to all. We want to make sure everybody's included. That and also for .NET Conf in November, we like to get presenters from every continent. It's not just a bunch of folks from Seattle presenting. No. We want to make sure we have some Australian folks, some African folks, some South American folks, some Europeans, and of course, some Asian folks dialing in and watching. Antarctica has dodged me in recent years. We're gonna try and take care of that. So, how you doing there? Adrian is here from Cuba. Good to see you. TG with a question from YouTube. Should a .NET developer use Blazor WebAssembly instead of Angular and React in the long run? That's hard to say. We need to see how the browsers develop and interact more with WebAssembly. Angular and React have 10 years lead on building and interacting with form components in the browser. Blazor WebAssembly is still coming on, but is it going to be as fast? Maybe. That said, I would encourage you to build with Blazor. Use Blazor Server where appropriate to do fast form negotiation things, but where you want to do some native coding, you want to do some native interaction with the GPU, the CPU inside the browser, check out WebAssembly. There's nothing wrong with using WebAssembly. It is a large download for folks to run. That said, the website that you're watching this broadcast on has a larger download of JavaScript content to present this video. So pick and choose what works best for you. What Microsoft suggestions, what I suggest, I would take a look at some of the Azure, the Azure certifications at this point. We're working on exploring more certifications and making those available. Hello, Strug from Russia. Good to see you. I can't read the name just above that. Dinner time from, I guess is that TW? Is that Taiwan? Welcome. Yeah, keep your questions dry. That's right, Ryan. Don't repeat yourself. I'm happy to answer any questions. That's why we have the AMA tag on. That's why I host and I allocate and put a timer on to make sure that we get to in box exactly what we're going through here. But I definitely encourage you. Let's chat. Let's ask questions. Let's discuss. And I get this question about Blazor every week. And folks are trying to get me. Oh my gosh, we shouldn't. Stop. Paul on YouTube asks, how you doing there, Abhishek and Final Stack? Gundor is here from France. Let me go to Paul's question on YouTube. What's the best open source library for generating PDFs from .NET 6? Best is a loaded term. Because they have different features. Regarding open source, the one that I see folks refer to is iText as an open source library. However, when you use iText, you have to be aware it has a GPL license, LGPL license. So you could end up in a viral licensing issue where you need to release your code open source. Be aware of that. Make sure you review exactly how you use the library as part of your application. So if you don't want to release your source code, you don't have to. So sometimes it's a good idea, particularly with the viral types of licenses, to have a lawyer just give it a once over. Make sure that the way that you're going to use the library plays well with what they're offering. Diaco on YouTube, how you doing there? Asks, what's my favorite CSS framework? I had people that I work with that make fun of me because I still like Bootstrap. It's reliable. It works very well. Does what I need. When I combine that with something like Open Iconic or Font Awesome, it's great. So yeah, I like using Bootstrap. Nikhil on YouTube asks, "What is Blazor?" Blazor is a framework that ships as part of .NET, part of ASP.NET, our web frameworks that you can build with using C#, F#, Visual Basic. Blazor is a component-based user interface framework, and it can be delivered and deployed in 3 different locations, 3 different runtimes. You can run Blazor on the server, and it'll send user interface components back and forth to the browser. Runs very, very fast. Uses technologies like WebSockets to communicate back and forth with the server so that you get a real-time push experience with that. You can also build with Blazor using WebAssembly, and that's the one that most folks think of when they talk about Blazor, where we'll compile all of your code, ship it into the browser just like a single-page application or a progressive web application, and everything runs in the browser. It doesn't come back to the server for anything unless you specifically go and request data or interact with APIs in some way. And the third way that you can use Blazor is to compile and deploy it as a hybrid application with .NET MAUI. In that case, it feels a little bit like an Electron app, if you know what I'm referring to, where it uses the native browser component on whatever platform it gets deployed to, and it runs in memory of the application to generate and put web content on the screen. It's really good stuff. How you doing there? The Freeze team. How about Thailand? All right. How about Thailand? Good to see you. Tailwind CSS. Yeah, Tailwind is one that I know a lot of folks like. It hasn't really sunk in for me yet. I look at it and I keep asking why. Bootstrap does very much the same things. Anyone building games with C#? Just learned a bit of Unity. Unity, looking for a good book to learn more about it? Our friends at Manning Publications have a couple real good books on Unity. You can check them out. But there's lots of folks building games with Unity. You can find folks building games like Pokemon Go, Hearthstone. Diablo 4 isn't built with Unity, but some of the tooling, instrumentation, and stuff there is built with Visual Studio. It's not Unity. There's a handful of other Unity games out there that the folks at Unity will tell you about. Yep, Putter, iText, exactly. Hello, Carlos in Colombia. Good to see you. Yeah, I got my GitHub hat on. YouTube is probably better than books, says Warzoid. I'm not sure I agree with that. I definitely think YouTube is going to be more current. But the authoritative deep dive stuff, you're not going to get on YouTube as much as you will in written content, and I would suggest an ebook more than a print book. Stuff that folks are maintaining online will get you there. Escape from Tarkov is written with Unity, and so is Kerbal. There you go. There you go. Thank you so much. Emre. Emre? Is that how you pronounce that? Usually do a mix of both, says Pokey Wilm on Twitch. Read a good book on a topic, use Google, YouTube. Yeah, that's pretty good. You're only going to get so far in instructional, introductory material on your... when you look at a video, when you need to take that deep dive and get into those advanced topics, that's when you're going to want to take a look at. You're going to want to take a look at the written content that's online. The advanced content is very hard to present in video format, and because you're going to lose folks quickly, and that means you're going to have less viewers, and the video game is all about lots of viewers. So you'll find that folks on YouTube don't like doing advanced topics because folks don't watch that. They don't understand it, so they won't watch it. Yes, why not both? Diaco on YouTube asks, will there be any live stream and how to integrate NPM packages into ASP.NET Core? What are you looking for? We're using NPM packages. Help me out there. What are you running into? Abhishek asks, in .NET 6, Microsoft removed the startup CS class. Why? To simplify things. We had a program class file that literally had 3 lines of code that you had to maintain. You had to maintain, not the framework. And then we had a startup file that was a class that had all of this ceremony in it that, quite frankly, folks configure once and never touch again. Or they come back and touch only when they're adding significant new features. So why not reduce the ceremony? Let the framework do more of that and make it easier for folks to get started by writing less code. I think that's a good thing to help improve our frameworks, to improve our tools, is to require the average developer to write less code. You can still use the old startup CS architecture. You can go back and use that, and there are templates that have that available. And there's configuration that's popping up in .NET 7 that will allow you to specify whether you want the startup CS model or if you want the program CS model. Your choices. There you go, Paul. Glad to hear you found a resource that works for you. Ryan says, read the book while watching the YouTube video. Be too distracted from both and just give up. Okay. That's a way. CW Bransdell. I love the Microsoft eShop on Web project for a structural inspiration. Yeah. Is there a similar project that focuses on Blazor Server full application? Not on Blazor Server. The Blazing Pizza app focuses on Blazor WebAssembly, but for Blazor Server, it's not a bad idea that we put together something similar. Let me get back to you on that. Wayan is here from Bali in Indonesia. Any suggestions on web development stack using .NET? So I'm going to show you today ASP.NET Core with using the MVC development model with Entity Framework Core. I'm going to be using Bootstrap CSS along with Open Iconic icons today. Steven's really looking forward to .NET 7 and C# 11. Lots of cool stuff coming. What's most important, what's most interesting about the new versions of .NET and C# is they're optimizing the lower level features of the framework. This means that just by upgrading your application to .NET 7, it's going to get faster. That's pretty cool. You don't have to make any code changes, and your application just gets faster because of the way that we're using memory, because of the way that we're deploying and handling the interactions with with web requests. Very, very cool stuff. So, and we'll have lots more to talk about that .NET Conf in November. Keep an eye on the blog. You'll on our blog at blogs.microsoft.com, and you'll see more popping up there as the preview releases are issued every few weeks, getting closer and closer to the .NET 7 release. The eShop on web using Dapper is great too. Glad to hear it. I'm glad you like that, Gunny. For NPM, an example would be Tailwind CSS itself. You can use a CDN, but it would be massive and slow, but the NPM way is much smaller at the end and you have full control over it. So we have a library manager tool that can download from the CDN and put a copy locally without having to download the entire NPM package. Because when you install an NPM package, you're going to get all the dependencies coming down with it. And about 100, 200 packages later, it hopefully works. And you've got to maintain all those dependencies, which are in a language and in a tool set that you might not be interested in. Take a look at the library manager and I can click into it when we're over on the other screen. It'll allow you to manage and interact with and pull in libraries like that and put them down on disk where you want them. So, yeah, keep an eye out. Take a look at that. I think you're going to find that's a little bit more valuable than using NPM directly. You can, nothing's stopping you from using NPM. And we do have hooks. I'm trying to remember where they are. There are hooks and ways that you can trigger NPM script calls while you're building your ASP.NET application. I don't have that content in front of me right now. It's not something that I normally do. PokeWhelm saw a pull request as an update to datetime.now. It's 30% faster now. They used some special magic to pull that off. Someone from the community used a scientific paper for the optimization. Cool. That's awesome. Optimizations to smaller components like that go a long way at the end, but there's things like that right, we can make those improvements on low level components, and it goes a long way for everybody. So that's really cool to see there, Pokey. Do you have a link to it? Can you share a link to that? I can bring that up and share it. The Freeze team, speaking of icons, just pushed up a repo that wraps all the simple icons as Blazor components. Is it okay? Yeah, you can put a link to the NuGet. Sure. Absolutely. Will there be a library NuGet package, asks Mario, for ASP.NET Core Identity UI that holds Blazor pages instead of Razor? No, because it needs to run, for the identity user interface, it needs to run on the server so that you get assurances that you're communicating with the server, that data lands on the server and interacts and is saved properly on the server and not intercepted on the way. So the design, the goal is keep it on the server. How you doing there, Nate Palm over on Twitch? Bess says EF for the win. Yeah, I like Entity Framework is cool stuff. Jamil asks, is Blazor server fast enough for large-scale applications? What do you call large-scale? Live.net, it sounds weird. Live.net is a Blazor server application with pre-rendering of WebAssembly content. So that's pretty large scale. What do you consider large scale? Good morning, Johnny B. Cat. Good to see you. Yeah. Thank you so much for the kind words. Are we ever going to add inline IL-ASM? Why? Why? That sounds very special, very specialized, like a specialized requirement there. Why? Help me out with that. Crust Punk. Fantastic, Punky. I'll keep an eye out for that. Talking about optimizations and performance, Gunny says I've just got my head around benchmark.net, utilizing it in the code base. Very cool. Benchmark.net is an open source library that you can use to test and generate some documentation around the performance of your application very easily. Really cool little library. I'm drinking coffee today. I've got a little bit of I pick up the Starbucks K-Cups, and I usually pick them up about once a month, and I'll get enough for the entire month, and I wait till they go on sale, because I'm cheap like that. And so I get the Starbucks K-Cups, and at something like $6 for 10 of them, so it ends up being, what, like 60 cents, 63, 65 cents for a cup of coffee, versus if I actually went to Starbucks, it would be $6 for a cup of coffee. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And yeah, I like that. So okay, this is let me see here. There we go. The Freeze team with a link, there we go, to time warp simple icons. So happy to share that project here on screen. Let me bring that in over here. So I think I saw somebody talking about this. Get date. Okay, well, get date is... that's the same as .now. No, interesting. Let me go back to, let me show... Nope, it's not that one. It's this one. So it's just off the side of the screen. There you go. Time warp simple icons. GitHub icon, Blazor icon, Twitter icon. Neat. That makes it easy to use. Sure. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. So time warp engineering, time warp, simple icons. I'm happy to share that out so that everybody can take a look at that. Where'd it go? Let me see here. And the other one I had was the 30% optimization. Can we bring that over? There we go. And Octotree, you're in the way there. I can't move that, can I? Can I move that? Thank you. 30% optimization of date time, get date, .year, .month, .day, day of year. All right. That's cool to see. I mean, we're talking about shaving 2 nanoseconds off. So, unless you're doing a lot of date calculations at scale, you're probably not going to see a huge impact of this on your code. But that's very cool to see, right? Somebody in the community submitting a pull request from a couple days ago to help improve this. So, nice. Very cool stuff. Very, very cool. And it reset my timer. Let's take that down to 10 minutes left here. Hello? Okay. Ah, there it is. This one. No. Let's go to 10 minutes left. There we go. Let me see here. Billy Cool with a question from Twitch. Is there anything like Razorlight for Blazor that allows rendering of individual Blazor components to raw HTML? Somebody did write something to do that. I forget what the package is, but somebody did write something to do that. There were a couple of folks that wrote libraries and tools to pre-render content, to write things out to during a GitHub action to generate that content. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It might have been Jay Sakamoto who did that. Blazor pre-render. This is kind of close. This is, yeah, Blazor pre-rendering, WASM pre-rendering. Yep, that's exactly what I was looking at. So take a look at that. Stephen D on YouTube says, I've seen the Microsoft forums, a lot of folks requesting C++ support in VS for Mac. Do I think this will happen? Don't know. I don't typically work with the C++ team. I'm not sure what the plans are. I know they have a clear path that they want to finish. They want to deliver for an upcoming version of VS for Mac later this year. Maybe even early next year. Depends on how things go. Sachin asks how to be junior developer to senior developer, how to grow. Spend time writing applications. Learn different ways that applications are structured. Learn some of the design patterns, how to use them, when to use them. And that will help you decide how to use it. Junior developer knows the language and is learning and getting a grasp on how to use the languages and tools. A senior developer knows when to use those tools, when to use those patterns to make their application. Yeah, it is remarkable to see how they did it. And very cool to see folks submit this kind of content to update something as simple as how the date is interacting. And simplifying parts of this. It is a ridiculous amount of code that they shortened out here. Very cool. Ain't nobody got time for nanoseconds. That's right. The comments are worth a read. Yeah. So I've heard folks complain, oh, it's so hard to submit a pull request and get content into .NET. That's kind of a good thing. There's some really smart people working on .NET. And if your code doesn't make the cut, where smart people are evaluating and saying, well, you're not doing this efficiently, you're not doing this in a way that, or we don't need this, you're providing something that we don't want. That's pretty okay. That's fine. You're working with some pretty smart folks who just read your code, and they're making a call on that. That's their job, is to defend and make sure that the best features, fastest features, get into the framework. So yeah, it is hard to get features in there because it's very optimized, and there's a lot of really smart people working together with it. I make the comparison to maintaining my car. I don't know how to do much to maintain my car. I know how to take care of the oil, check the oil. I know how to take care of making sure that the tires are inflated, how to make sure that gas is in the car and that kind of thing. But when it comes to like replacing the brakes, I don't know how to do that. There's folks that are properly trained that know how to do that I'm going to trust with the brakes to my car. It takes training, it takes education to get there, and not everybody should be out there changing the brakes to their car. So, similar type of thing. Let me see. Forgot to message me, says Napalm. Anything interesting I know of to do load testing for C# other than JMeter? There's an Azure load testing component that was released back in October, November 2021 that will do load testing for you. I forget what it's called. But look up Azure load testing and you'll see there is a package that will do that, a service that will do that for you. Andrew Locke has a blog about that, and Sanderson's last demo uses a Blazor pre-renderer. Yeah, so there is a pre-renderer that is part of ASP.NET Core that you can turn on. But if you want to render content to disk as HTML, take a look at the J. Sakamoto library to get you there with that. Hello, Caparino. MG Bozy, good to see you. Hello there to you, too. Is there any planned rumor for reworking the Visual Studio UI so it can be the same in both Windows and Mac OS? No, because there's a different user interface in both Windows and Mac OS. And that's kind of why, but one of the reasons why people choose Windows or Mac OS. If we had the exact same user interface for an application in both environments, why would you choose one over the other? So, the stack. They've been trying to do that for years now. So, anybody have experience using the canvas element in a .NET project? Yeah, there's folks that do that a lot. It's not something that I typically do, but there are ways to interact with it. Yes. You got your PR into the .NET code base? Fantastic. Hey, Carlos. This is Stream Beats by Harris Heller, and I'm using the Synthwave playlist. Let me go to streambeats.com and grab that playlist for you. Happy to share that. And this is the one for Spotify. No. Come on. Thank you. So, there you go. There's the Spotify playlist. Alright. You made a PR for EF Core. Fun experience. Learned quite a few things along the way. Yeah. There's a lot of process that goes through and happens, because once you submit a pull request to the team, to the .NET team, now they're responsible for your code. So they want to make sure that is top quality. You don't know why .NET is open source, or better, why it is open for because let them do their work. There's folks that want to see what's going on under the covers, that want to contribute, that want to be able to take that, recompile it, and run it on their own runtimes, frameworks, operating systems. And there's also some folks with a bit of a trust question. How can I trust this from Microsoft if it's all compiled already and I can't see what made it? Fine. Here's all the source code that made it. Hey, Rodrigo. Yeah, we can talk about filtering and sorting with a repository pattern in just a little bit here. I made sure to leave a little bit of space so we can talk about that at the beginning of our demos here. You love being able to look at their code, love contributing from time to time. Yeah, right. It's also a little bit of accountability by making that code visible and you can see what's going on. What's the difference between C# and ASP.NET Core? Asks Hans Peter. C# is a programming language. ASP.NET Core is a web framework. ASP.NET Core, the framework, was built with C#. It allows us to use C# to write our websites. Just like Express is a web server and provides a framework for you to write a website with Node, right? React is a framework that sits on top of JavaScript. You program towards React using JavaScript. Same type thing. Does Visual Studio have built-in load testing for scaling tests? It used to. I don't know if it still does. I dropped that link on Restream. It should have copied through to both. Yeah, it pasted over to YouTube. Yep, there it is. No, it didn't post it through. Why didn't it? Wait a sec. No, I'm looking at top chat, live chat. Why didn't it copy it into there? There it is on YouTube there for you. Continuing looking. It was deprecated. Okay, I couldn't remember. Best Visual Studio asks Visual Studio versus Visual Studio Code. Why not both? I like Visual Studio Code when I need to do some quick editing, when I'm working on a small project, and I want to get in, get out, work at the command line. But when I'm working on a project that has a lot of components, a lot of moving pieces, I want to be able to test, interact, debug with different frameworks and things. I want to use Visual Studio for that, which means that I end up being coupled to Windows, but it's not completely terrible. Are there any learning resources for us to Blazor to be better at it? We did a whole series of videos on these. Take a look at the playlist and rewind. I've done a series of intro videos for Blazor. I've done a bunch of advanced discussions over on my Twitch channel. I think there's definitely room to do more advanced topics. Let me see what our timeline looks like here for September, October. We're redoing some of our video content, and we can definitely go a little bit deeper, I think, on some of that stuff. Yeah, Blazor University's out there. Yep. So, all right. Time is up on our AMA segment today. Let's get ready. Let's get the gunner glasses ready. Today we're going to be talking about, we've been building our a website that allows us to share a collection of things. We've all got a collection of things. It's one of those human things that we do. You might collect coins, you might collect stamps, you might collect ball caps, hats. Other folks, gosh, I was talking to a friend this weekend, and they collect handbags. Cool. Another friend collects Minnie Mouse ears, right? Totally cool. Whatever your thing is, that's okay. We're building a website to allow you to manage that collection, and eventually we'll turn this into a template, so that folks can stand up a website on Azure for free to manage your collections, and you'll have a website that you can run out there, fritzshatcollection.azurewebsites.net, and be able to share that. So we built a page to show off some of the items in the collection. We showed how we can add logging, how we can do some live interactions, voting on some things that folks like using SignalR. But we haven't done the other sides of CRUD here, right? We did the read, the R in CRUD. But when we talk about CRUD database interactions, that's your create, read, update, and delete. We did the read. Let's do the create, update, and delete today. Let's talk about those methods, how we build those with ASP.NET Core, how we work with our controller, our methods to interact with folks that are sending data to us, and let's build some unit tests for those along the way. Also, we had the request that came through last week on my other channel. Can you show us how to do a repository pattern with a little bit of sorting and filtering on some of that data? So I'm going to take the API that we built, and I'm going to add some other capabilities to that. We'll publish that as a open API endpoint that folks can interact with. Why do we need MVC applications when we have web forms? I see what you're doing there. Life as a garden. Where did I get the hat from? I think it's store.github.com. I think is where GitHub has their store. No, is it the GitHub has a store. The githubshop.com. You'll find it there. So there it is. That says it was published to YouTube. There you go. I don't think they have this hat in stock anymore. Headwear. Nope, they do. It's a different hat. It has a black logo where mine is silver. But yeah, mine's the InvertoCat 1.0. So thought I only wear the caps once a stream. Nah, I have a set of Microsoft hats that I rotate through over here, and I'll wear NASA and some other non-branded hats over here on the Visual Studio channel as well. Is Webform still a thing in Visual Studio 2022? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, let's get the gunners on. We're going to get writing some code here. Grab my phone. Switch up the mic. Still good there? Yes? Need a little bit more. Test. Test, test. I think that's good. All right. Will it be going over concurrency? Nope. Twitch users need a change hat redeem. That's on the other channel. That's on my other channel. All right, let's head over to the other set. It's right back there. And we're going to start talking about, we'll do some additional read capabilities, and then let's get into insert, update, and delete of our data on the website. Let's head on over. Changing scenes, doing the stuff. Look at that. It looks like my spare bedroom. It looks like Fritz Studios. There we go. And OBS turned off my... Why did you do that, OBS? No matter. No, I'm going to need that. My cheat screen, OBS moved on me. Stand by. Let me just... It needs to be up there. That's better. That's better. So, I have a screen here so that I can see exactly what I'm pointing at here as we talk and interact together. All of the code for today's session is available out on the GitHub. C# with CSharpFritz. There's a link in the YouTube description just below. If you're over there on Twitch, github.com CSharpFritz/C# with CSharpFritz. At the time of this recording, I'm in the branch called 1208. If you're watching the recording later, it's going to be in the main branch, and we are under that 1208 session. So that is in Season 2, the Collection Website series, and Insert, Update, Delete. This is where you can find the code for today's samples. That when we finish writing our code, and I'm coding this live as part of this series with you, instead of reading out samples and showing, well, here's the demo. All of the code that we finish writing here will be in this repository for you to be able to explore and interact with. All right? Now, my kids put some things in here. Moving on, let me take a look at chat. Where can you get the first part? It's earlier in the series where we talk about adding data to our application. All right? So, our collection website has grown. We've got all kinds of capabilities built in here now. There we go. And we can see our collection, but we don't have a way to add and interact with that data in the collection. So, let's move that over. So, let's start off introducing an Add New button to the homepage so we can add new items into our collection. My collection, I collect hats, so you're going to see the default data that's in there is hats. We're then going to give you the ability to edit items, so we're going to add an edit link using the open iconic pencil icon, and we'll add a little pencil into our screen. I could do this with emotes, and we showed you how to use emotes previously, but for this, I think we're... what happened here? My cables are all twisted. No! Like, really twisted. Come on now. Where did my PC go? Are you kidding? I think it hibernated on me. Unsupported. Give it a second to restart here. What front-end framework are we using? HTML. We're just using HTML. We're not using a framework. So, yes, I code live, and I also answer questions live, right? So, oh yeah, that crashed real hard. Nice. Nice. Yeah, let's unplug this for now. just to make sure that everything loads properly here. Yeah, you turned away for a couple minutes. Yeah, of course. My laptop here took a powder. So give me just a second as we bring this back online. There we go. And everything that I had set up here, I got to go reset up. Nice. Nice. That makes me feel good. Like, I don't want Spotify opening and a couple other things here. Yep, get PowerShell open. There we go. I'd like that to be full screen. Edge, are you going to restore my tabs here? Otherwise, we're going to have to go spelunking again. Yep, that's what I was afraid of opening. Cool. Nope, Razor and a couple other things I have to open here. Let me see. You've been working on this stuff? Cool, TC Coder. Is this stream dedicated to C#? Check out the title just below and let me know what you think. There we go. And I think we're back now. Let's get plugged back in. Like, are you kidding? And now I lose the power cable. There it is. All right. Just the way I planned it. There we go. This is where we want to be working. No. And close that. All right. Try this again. We're going to add an add new link. We're going to add an edit link. We're also going to add a delete button here using OpenIconic. It's a free open source series of icons that you can use in your applications without limitation. There are other really cool libraries out there like Font Awesome that I really enjoy using and recommend, but you need to set up and register and comply with their licenses appropriately. There are requirements that they have, and that's okay. We want to make sure that we respect them as creators, that they're getting compensated properly for building the really cool things that they are building and managing for us. Yes, restore, please. There we go. All right. So, let me catch up here. Anything to do with IT needs a glitch here and there. Yeah, right? Yeah, check up the title. MDS Ubuntu, I'm doing all right. What is ASP.NET used for? We use it to build web applications. iScientist. No, it's not. It's ASP was active server pages. Now it's still active server pages, but it's a heck of a lot more than that. So hero icons, simple icons. Yeah, there's a bunch of icon libraries out there, and we want to make sure we support those creators appropriately, the way their licenses request, so that we can build and continue having those features available for us. All right. So let's dig in here. Let's take a look back at the website so we remember where we left off. Inside my source folder, here's the source of the application. And of course, I can run my application by calling .NET Run, and that'll run the application. But I'm going to run .NET Watch, which executes the website and watches for changes. As those changes happen, it will rebuild and re-execute the website. So here it is. It's going forward, started. There it is running. And you saw it pop open a browser there. There it is. Come on, refresh that browser for me. This makes me feel very confident, Firefox, that you're doing something worthwhile for me. There we go. My hat collection, and I've got thumbs up and thumbs downs, and I've got these two hats that are loaded in with the default data here. My Atari hat and my Blazor hat. Cool. That's fun. Those are things that I can share and we can take a look at. All right. So how do I add more items into here? It's one thing to put it into the database. It's one thing to kind of copy and load it out there and maintain it behind the scenes so that we get these things. But what else can we do? How can we make this a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner to build and interact with these? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a add new button here on the homepage so that we can go through and add that item. And it's what's this? You know what? That we're going to add that that add item, but I completely forgot. I wanted to back up and talk about filtering and sorting on the API, and I made some changes to support testing better. One of the things I did to support testing was I introduced an interface here for our repository object. All of our data interactions I have routed through a repository object, this class, collection repository, and it takes in an entity framework context. And you see here I have one method called get that goes and gets all the collection items and returns it as an array for us to be able to put on screen. So we have that screen that has here's everything in your collection. We can also go and find a specific item in our collection by its ID number. And these are all encapsulated here. But to help with testing, I put an interface in front of this. And we can create interfaces from classes by hitting Control Dot. And we get the helper here. You can also click on the light bulb over here. You get the same menu to appear. And you can choose to extract interface. Now, extract interface will take all the public methods of this class and turn it into an interface, right? And an interface in C#, we remember, is an object that declares properties, methods, and events that classes must define and adhere to if they implement that interface. So, in the case of iCollection repository, a iCollection repository object knows how to find objects by ID, it knows how to get a collection of collection items, and it knows how to vote. So, those methods are implemented in this class. I now have it registered and available to me in my program, where there was a question earlier about using startup class. Well, we put everything into one file here because you pretty much set it and forget it. So I have set up here, add a transient dependency. If somebody requests an iCollection repository, give them the concrete collection repository. What this means then is if we look at my home controller, that I want to go and fetch that data to put on the home page, I'm requesting an iCollection repository. The iCollection repository, I'm going to get a concrete one, but for the purposes of working with it inside here, the home controller only knows about the capabilities of the interface. What I didn't do was in my voting hub, where we set up our SignalR interactions, I'm still receiving a collection repository and not an I collection repository. Done. Fixed. That's saved. And yes, please restart the app. This will rebuild and we'll get some, hopefully, less error messages. There we go. We're good. All right. So that's fixed. I wrote a test to exercise my home controller. I wrote one test to make sure that when we do go to the home page, which this method generates, right? You go to the home page of the website, it goes to home controller index by default, and you can go back to our previous videos and see where we define that standard. And it executes this method. I want to run a test to make sure that when this method executes, that we get a collection of items fetched from the repository. I don't know what it's doing with it yet, but I know that it goes and gets that data. So, I wrote a unit test over here, and I am using a mock object. Let me put some carriage returns on this to make it a little bit easier to read what it's doing here. Now, our unit tests using XUnit exist in a project next to our application we're going to send out there. Our unit tests live in, let me go show it back over here, right? My application is sitting in source, and my unit test project is sitting in test. When I deploy this to production, I'm only deploying what's in source. What's in test can be taken and put next to that application, and I can run tests against it wherever I might be. So, inside my test project, I wrote this class. When navigating to the home page, should get items from the collection. So I create the 3 steps of every one of my tests: arrange, act, and assert. I'm arranging what is the condition before the item that I'm going to test. I'm going to create a mock, a fake collection repository, I collection repository. Here's why I need the interface. I'm going to create something that acts like that. I'm going to create a controller object, because a controller is a class, right? My home controller is just another class here. And I'm going to pass into it the null logger. I'm not going to inspect what it's logging. And I'm going to pass in an instance of that mock collection repository. Go execute the index method, because I'm navigating to the homepage, and make sure that the repository get method was called. I can execute this at the command line. I'll go into the test folder. That's a really long line there. But I can execute .NET test. You see it right there. Here it goes. And come on. There it is. Now, it's kind of a simple test for this, but I do some checking in here, and I have a argument null exception that I might throw there. So maybe after I write, for whatever reason, let's throw the exception, right? If I did that, if I threw the exception for whatever reason, I inspected something and it didn't come back right, I want to throw that exception. My unit test now, because I'm running .NET Watch over here. My unit test fails. Appropriately so. It never went to get the data because there was an argument exception. And if I look at what happened here, it shows me the argument exception that was thrown right there. Very handy, very helpful to make sure that as you're changing code, you're not breaking assumptions, dependencies that other folks have made on your application. So let's remove that, right? And we can continue working with our code. So I'll let .NET test run again. So you can see it comes up green and everything tests positive here. There you go. 1 passed. Fantastic. All right. Moving on. The next question that I had was about, well, how do you add filtering and sorting to an API? Before I get that, let me take a look here at chat and catch up. First thing you spotted was the Atari hat, right? Should we use add scope for repository? Yeah, you're probably right. We should probably do a scoped interaction here. So when we declare our dependencies like this, transient, when you say add transient, it says every time I request one of these things, give me a new one of these. Scoped says when I request one of these, give me one and only one instance of these for each request to the server. So if you have several different objects that are being called, that are being interacted with, and they're all asking for a collection repository, they're going to get the same instance of a collection repository. They're not going to get new instances of them, okay? So it'll call new collection repository at the beginning of the request, and that same collection repository is used throughout the entire request, okay? The last one, singleton, says at the beginning of the application, when it starts, create one of these and never create a new one. Share that one object with everything. Why C# is awesome? Because it's been around for 20 plus years. It's evolved, continues to evolve, has amazing object-oriented capabilities, has functional capabilities, fantastic set management, filtering, interaction, aggregation capabilities with LINQ, the language integrated natural query language. And it's got capabilities for you to build applications on every framework that you want to go to, every runtime, every capability that you want to go to. You want to build and deploy to a little Linux machine, to a Raspberry Pi, we got you covered. You want to build something, deploy it out to the cloud and run on thousands of servers, we got you covered. You want to build something and deploy it out to your favorite iPhone or Android device, you can do that too. You want to run something on Mac OS? Yes, indeed, we got it. So all kinds of capabilities. Oh, you want to put something in a container? We got you covered as well. That's why C# is awesome. It's everywhere you want to be. It sounds like a credit card. Anyways, moving on. Am I using internals visible too? Nope, everything's public. You recently started to learn Singular. It is great, Emra. I agree. Fake it easy is kind of nice. A fluent layer. Yeah. How can we run a specific test if we have more than one test? There are... Clear that. There are command line arguments that you can pass in to specify exactly what you want to run. -- filter, and you can pass in what's the name of the method that you want to run, okay? Or a specific class that you want to run. There are all kinds of capabilities that you can pass in at the command line, and there are runners that are embedded in Visual Studio for Mac, Rider, all kinds of tools that ReSharper has it also, that will call this automatically with a nice graphical user interface for you. If you want to be able to pick and choose and run only certain tests, you want to run certain tests all the time, turn on and turn off, all kinds of things you can do there. Thanks for the question. There we go. Some say for Blazor it is active static pages too. No. Transient is more secure than scope and singleton. Secure in the sense that you only get you always get a new copy. Sure. Scope is going to be secure in the sense that you get the same instance throughout the entire request, so nobody's going to be able to reach over and grab that one. Singleton, I'd say, is not secure because everybody can access it. Can I explain the code under the assert comment on unit testing? So this is part of the mock framework. And what this is saying is that repository object that I defined here, that mock object, verify that the get method was called. You didn't do anything. You returned some fake data to that. But make sure that it was called and that it was only called once. I can actually come through here and say, make sure that it is never called, right? And if I run that again and I'm testing and I'm saying verify that the get method on our database is never called, and it fails. And we look at the fail message and it will tell us expected invocation on the mock should never have been performed, but was called one time. So it gives us a way to provide this fake instance of things, dependencies that we don't have control over. I don't have control over that database. So I'm removing a direct reference to that and replacing it with some code that I can control. Okay. What does it mean is... What do you mean? Where do you say that? There is no is. We're okay. All right. What do I think about minimal API stuff? I think it's great. It's a good way for you to build an API quickly with zero ceremony. Folks have been doing it in Node for almost a decade. So now we have the same syntax, and it runs even faster with C# and .NET. Love it. All right, so the next question that I had was about what if we want to add filtering to our APIs? So filtering and sorting. So over here, I have the ability to get content and as an API, and I return OK for this. And I've got this exposed as a Swagger endpoint, right? It's an open API endpoint. Swagger's the tool from SmartBear. So what I can do here is I can go to /Swagger, and I get this really nice user interface for working with my API. And I can execute my API. There it is. It called that API items, and it would do it with this curl statement. And here's the content that it returned, my Atari hat and my Blazor hat. It also has available to me when I look at and I interact with the definition of this. It has here's what a collection item is and the shape of that. It's not specific to C#. It's not specific to JavaScript. It's very clearly defining these types, these generic types, so that when you implement, you use somebody else's client on some other programming language, you get the appropriate types for that language lighting up here when you interact with a collection item. That's not what I want to show you, though. We want to do some filtering in here. That's fine. So let's say we want to put an additional filter on this and some sorting capabilities on this. I can do that by adding, right? I can add, right? I could say where name starts with, and I can also do right order by, right? I could do something like that, and we can receive those elements. There we go. Thank you. Into my method here, right? I'm adding where name starts with. I'm adding order by because these templated capture elements of the URL are going to be captured and fed into these two input parameters. So now I'm not going to pass that information in. Because I've got this very simple API, I can say where name starts with, right? Let's put some carriage returns in here, make this a little bit easier to read. There we go. And yeah, get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, there it was. There it was. And now I could say order by, and I should choose a field for that to order by. So I have name, Right, so I might do something like, gosh, how do I want to do this? I almost want to set up a func to return that. Order by func equals, ooh, I like that. Let's do that. So, right, order by takes in a collection item and returns a string. So, I don't want to use price, but I'll leave votes on there. And I don't want to do it as to string. If I'm going to do to string there, I'm going to want to do it as like that. So now this is going to generate. Yeah, that's fine. So I've set up and defined 3 order by statements here. So now down here I can just replace this and say order by my order by function. Right? And I'm going to pass into it the order by. Now, we're going to want to make this a little bit more concrete, test and make sure that it's only within a set of valid parameters here. And I probably should do this as a switch statement. Yeah. Right. Switch order by. And I can get rid of that. Then we can turn this into like this. It's order by switch. Get the syntax right. There we go. This is syntax, C# syntax that's available to you as of C# 9. And I can put this like that. And yes, you want the default. Which is good. Come here, you. Sure, I'll default like that. What don't you like? No best type found. No, this should be a func of type collection item string. Got it. So now I can just say like that. And I'm passing in that order by. I'm creating an order by clause here and passing it in there. Okay, that's a little bit tricky. And I'll go back over here. Yep, go ahead. Rebuilding. And when we take a look over here, now Swagger has a new item there. Where names, right, and we can try this out. Where name starts with A, order by, it's required. I didn't make it not required. So the response comes out, and I should have made that. There we go. It's not case sensitive. It's case sensitive, so it didn't pick that up. Name starts with. Let's make that case. Yes, ignore case. True. Sure. Do that one more, and let's make the order by. Right, let's make that. No, rebuild. So we make that nullable. Nope, still wants it on there. Is it order by star on that? No. Is that going to give it to me? There it is. All right, so now I don't. I needed to put the question mark here to indicate that it's nullable. So now I could say where name starts with, let's choose B to get the Blazor hat, execute that, and it loads and it gets back just the Blazor hat, right? Or I can turn that around, right? And this is required, right? I can make that not required as well, like this. And then I would want to conditionally add that where statement. I think that'll be okay. I think. So if I try this out, it's not required up there. Yeah, we've got this extra string now. Where'd that come from? Try this again. What does the underscore stand for? The underscore is a throwaway operator. It says whatever returns from this, ignore it, dump it. We don't need it. There we go. So if I try this out and I say order by votes, so now it returns, yeah, that where, it doesn't like the where. So if we did if string is null or empty, where, and I'm just going to eliminate that. Back into here. It's rebuilding behind the scenes because I have the .NET Watch turned on. So now if we try this out again, and we say order by votes. Nope, still didn't return anything. Why didn't it like that? That should have returned. String is null or empty where name starts with. I'm gonna have to take another look at that. I've only got about a half hour to go. So in addition to adding parameters like this to enhance your API, the other way I would go would be to set up a GraphQL endpoint. So there are bindings for GraphQL that you can set up directly inside your code that will automatically give you that language capability. As well as you can also do OData to connect into your APIs and automatically have that language available that folks already know and use with your application. So, nope, not multi-threading. Yep, GraphQL does that as well. The repository returns an array. I'm sorry, an IEnumerable. So we could do like a toArray there first, right? Votes. Let's see, but it's, for some reason it's still not returning, and I'm not quite sure where that's happening. Oh, look, order by question mark, order by equals. That's not where it's supposed to put it. Is it? Yeah. That's what I thought. Let me tinker with this a little bit more. Trying to get those nullables to work is tripping me up here. I thought I had it. There we go. All right. Is it possible to add an input filter on Swagger pages to search by endpoint or something similar? Yes. When you have multiple definitions, right, you can choose them up top here. However, most folks only have one. And you can, all of that configuration is capable over in Program CS when you configure it right there. You can configure how you want that to render with all kinds of options and configuration overrides there. All right. What's the technical difference between an API interaction with a method and an MVC interaction with a method with the exact same logic? There is no. The technical difference is the API is being handled by the web server and returning to returning through a data filter to the requester, versus MVC is returning some sort of a view, right? If you look at my controller here, is returning an OK status with that data. When I'm returning MVC, I'm returning a view with that data. So I can use the exact same methods, I can use the exact same capabilities, but depending on how it's requested, an HTTP GET to a specific URL versus navigating to this location with your browser, we're going to return a view that renders those items. Is order by a link thingy? Yes, it is, Simon. Why? Right, I have a switch. The constants are the checks against that switch, against order by. So, can I explain is null or empty versus... no, I'm not going to go into that right now. I've only got 23 minutes left. Sorry. Do we have data? Yes, there is data. It's just... something's not clicking here. Are we going to talk about master details? No. We're going to talk about insert, update, and delete. All right. So I want to add insert, update, and delete capabilities to my page. So let's start. I added a reference inside my layout to the Open Iconic library right here on line 8. I downloaded and placed these inside that folder. Okay, you can get them with other tools. Library Manager ships with Visual Studio. You can also use it at the command line. It's called libman to go get those libraries and add them in. And of course, you can use npm and copy content from deep in the bowels of node modules to the www root folder where it will be deployed. Okay. No, I'm not going to cover partial views. And I already covered that in a previous stream. Go ahead back to the second stream about the second video about the collection, the collections website. You'll see me talk about it there. So I want to add the insert capability. I want to be able to add things in here. So I have this body with all the content for navigation, render body down here. Inside my home page, I have my index, and there's where I'm using the partial. Okay, so I have name of my collection. I have for each, and it just outputs these in a nice flex grid for me there. So let's put an anchor in here. Let me grab it from my span from my README here. Now I'll just put an add new block of text. So I'll do something like this. Something just like that. We're gonna create, and nah, it's not. Yeah. We're gonna have a method that we're gonna create inside of our index controller called create. Let's change these to single ticks, single quotes. Yeah, add item. That's easy, but we need to have the create method out there somewhere. Let me also go down into the partial. I'm going to F12. Oh, you're not going to let me jump into that? All right, fine. I'm going to go to my item card. There's my partial. I have the vote buttons there, but let's also put... I know what's happening. I don't have a create method yet. Let's go somewhere down here. And public iAction result, create, return view. What don't you like? While attempting to display the error page. What did we hit here? Yeah, that should have hit. No. Rebuild that. Something doesn't smell right. There it is. All right, so my add item button is down here. I should probably figure out a way to get that floated across the top. Right? Right, so I could do something like div class equals row. Not that one. Not that one either. Now, why aren't... Really? This is weird. Yeah. That's a really big add item button. No. .NET Watch is not helping me today. I broke something in there, and let's just .NET clean. And then re.NET Watch and see what we get here. No. .NET Watch. There we go. There it is. Add item. And it's kind of wonky, but they're the same general height. That's okay. But I want to put an edit button in here as well. So let's put it maybe over in here. Right, so I'll go back to my item card. Right next to the name. Right. And I want to put an edit button. And it looks like that. Let's also put a delete button right next to it. There they are. Okay. So I've got buttons there. I should turn those into anchors that go through, right? And I'm going to do the same thing here. Earl, action, edit. Right? That's just going to navigate me to a page where I can edit. Delete, however, right, I'll do the same thing there, but delete, we probably want to navigate to maybe a page that has the confirmation on it, and we can close that and move along. So, yeah, that's GitHub Copilot that you see that popping up there. So, nope, those are anchor tags, right? A tags. Anchor is what that stands for. Okay. Now, I have these things, and I've got a bunch of code that I need to write to go and generate and do those interactions. Here's where Visual Studio comes into play. Here's where Visual Studio becomes my favorite editor. and the reason why I like using this instead. Let me show you. So this is Visual Studio 2022. I'm going to open my project, and we're going to go into CDev, C# at CSharpFritz, Sessions, Season 2, Collection Website, 1208. That solution file, and we're going to see it open up here. Opening it. Good. And let me pin the Solution Explorer over there. Thank you so much. Now, what I could do, I can reach into my controllers right here, and I can where is it? There we go. I'm going to add I can add a controller to work with those objects. I'm going to add with read-write actions, and I can even add them with entity framework. Let's take a look at that. So I get this scaffolder here that allows me to do all of this configuration for me. The model that we're going to interact with is a collection item. The data context is a collection context. Generate some views, reference script libraries, sure. We're going to use the default layer, and let's create this in a controller called Collection Items Controller. Go ahead and generate that. Show me what we get here. Are you kidding me? Fine, turn. Yeah, that should do it. Why didn't that work? Show me. Come on now. That should have absolutely worked. No, it's not on Xamarin. And you're not going to tell me anything about this. Oh, that's so frustrating. Right over here under controllers, add controller. Do this one more time. Sure, give me read write. I want the views also here. And these should all... Nope. That's so frustrating. Locked file. Oh, yes, because I've got the watch running. Thank you. Do that again. And did I close? Where did Visual Studio Code go? No. Let me close and reopen. Just in case there is some sort of a locked contention file there happening. Let's just do that one more time. This is one of my favorite features, that it just generates and I get all the fields that I need with validation, with all the checks, and we get to see all of the model binding capabilities that just light up immediately for us. It's still loading the plugins. Add controller. Come on. Hit it this time. Collection item, collection context. Do it. Nope. And there's no message for it. All right. That's... Oh, the best laid plans and practices when we get to demo time don't work. And even more frustrating, yeah, there's no error messages for it either. No. What's the name of that package? It is the scaffolder. Yeah, it's a package restore error, and it's not telling me what it is, and I can't see it. Add MVC controller. Yep, this. Yep. Blah, 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 blah. I believe I have Entity Framework, Core Design. Let's add the Visual Studio. Install it by hand, because I'm elite like that. That's a lot of code it's generating. Okay. One more time. Add controller. Collection item. Collection context. Go. Nope. All right. I got a bug to report. So, let's do that. Yeah, I am signed in. Yep. Let me do my two-factor authentication. Fantastic. One more time. I'm going to figure out what happened with this, and I'm going to make sure. Yes, I know I'm reporting. Scaffolding a controller does not with entity framework and views does not work. Bingo. Nope. Comments and solutions are read-only. Nope. That's on Visual Studio 2017. On Visual Studio 2022 with .NET 6, this configuration does not work and returns no error messages to allow me to fix this situation. I'm unable to use it. Sure. Let's record. Yep, go ahead. Going back into Visual Studio. Right click, add controller. This one. No. Watch this work with the recorder attached. Bang. Send that recording over to the folks who work on the team. Processing the recording, including some system logs, including some additional files. There's information about the data we collect. And once that's done, we can click Submit. But this feature, I'm running a preview version of Visual Studio. This feature should work on your version of Visual Studio, and it should light up and show you some proper edit, delete, and add pages that I was just going to hook those links up to and we'd be done. But there's a bug right now. So I'm going to handhold this thing through the process and make sure that this gets addressed. I will update our solution code so that it shows you exactly what that code is, and I'll write some script, some prose to go with it to explain exactly what's going on there. My apologies. Clearly not an exception I was expecting to run into. My other machine that I was running on, tests ran fine. But let's get this addressed here. I'm going to head back over to the other machine. My apologies, friends. I'm so sorry. I thought we'd be able to get a lot further with that. But things happen. And this is the danger of doing live coding. Sometimes stuff works. Sometimes I hit it. We hit an issue. So, not much we can do about it, but that was a thing. You had an issue with scaffolding identity, couldn't select the user class. I've run into a couple of issues in scaffolding. Yeah. So, always happy to go through, discuss, and target and go after these things. But, yeah, all the packages were up to date. Yeah. So, but we will go through and take another look, and I'll write up some notes about this and have them attached to the demo, to the information. Once again, my apologies on that demo. And that's about all the time we have. I've got about 3 minutes left. There were a couple of questions that were coming in there that I was pushing to the side. Yeah, I looked at Stack Overflow, and there was even forcing the package to be there. Didn't help. Build the solution. It did build. It wasn't a problem building. Yeah, I don't want to create them in a separate project and move them around. So, how to store video or audio in ASP, asks Strug. Well, you're going to upload a file, right? And that was one of the pieces that I wanted to show how to do here, was how to upload a file when you add a new item into the collection. Upload a file, save it to a location, and go through that. But I'm going to have to, put together some side documentation on that and share that out. So, fixed by repairing Visual Studio, it's a preview version. So I'm nearly positive it's not Visual Studio. It's something down further in the chain isn't being passed correctly, and it's not handling error messages correctly. And quite frankly, I'd like to see an error message so I know how to fix and get back on the right track. Without an error, without any kind of diagnostic information, I'm kind of stuck. But storing video and audio within video, audio, images, any kind of content with your objects, you want to upload using some sort of file upload component, right? And there's, of course, one that comes with HTML. Save it somewhere outside your project so it can't be executed. Typically, if you put things in the www root folder, that doesn't execute. I would suggest you even put it completely outside the project somewhere else and have it loaded from over there off disk. Why not try to force a package restore manually? I did a .NET clean. I mean, I could do a restore again, but that's what .NET Clean kind of forces. So, store things outside of your project and bring them in after they've been reviewed. So, yeah. Thank you so much, friends, for tuning in. We're going to take a look. I'm going to get that stuff cleaned up. I'll get an update out into the GitHub repository, but we need to call it a day. We need to wrap it up here and move along. There's more content coming up on the YouTube channel on twitch.tv/Visual Studio with all kinds of great content, other folks, other hosts that'll be coming on and helping out with different topics. I'll be back tomorrow over on my channel, twitch.tv/CSharpFritz, where we'll be writing some Blazor code and working with Microsoft Azure. Next week, next Tuesday, well, first off, next week, next Monday, I will not be here because Tuesday, .NET Conf, focus on MAUI. But the following week, I'll be out also. My next stream will be on the 22nd. Thank you so much for watching. Folks on YouTube, hang out, check out some more of the great videos that we have here, especially the C# with CSharpFritz playlist. The rest of you over there on Twitch, let's set up for a raid. Let's see who else is streaming on the big Twitch TV network that we can get to. Yes, we will get to .NET MAUI, probably September is what we're looking at. Looking at the big Twitch TV network, who else we can connect you to? What else is going on out there? I want to get you rated into... Wow. Let's get you connected over to Tim Baudet. Thank you so much, friends, for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.